Hey, everybody. Welcome to Real Nerds. I'm Ryan. To my left is...
James. I'm to your left this time.
You are to my left. He's the amazing James. This week's episode of Real Nerds is brought to you by Birdman Barbecue. You can pick up your Birdman Barbecue at any Denver area Ace Hardwares. So do it. It's the sauce, baby.
Wait. Is this a real thing?
Yeah.
What? I've never... Wait, so there's barbecue at an Ace Hardware?
Yeah, Joe, our friend Joe,
yeah.
His father-in-law bottles Birdman barbecue sauce, and they sell it at Ace Hardware stores now.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to go to Ace.
Yeah, you should. It's delicious. They're spicy. It's out of control awesome.
Well, as you just saw, my dad is cooking some pulled pork, so we might have to go get some barbecue sauce.
It's at any Ace Hardware.
Cool.
I'm not sure how far in the Denver metro area, but I know they're in Lakewood for sure.
Oh, okay.
If you happen to go down there, if not, I can pick you up some. But yeah, it's brought to us by Birdman Barbecue.
Is it actually, like, should I be getting, like, some,
for free? We should ask them for free.
Oh, okay, yeah. We should,
like,
hey, like $20.
We're hawking your barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I don't need a lot of barbecue sauce. If they just want to give me like $20.
Where's our promotion? Where's our samples? This week we saw Drive with Ryan Gosling.
Mm-hmm.
More on that later. Much more.
Well, spoilers, better than Creature.
Better than Creature, surprisingly.
Yeah,
surprisingly. And I'm shocked.
Yeah,
that
it's
it was
a high bar.
That it beat Creature in quality.
Yeah, and I guarantee, because there were like at least 4 people in our audience, it'll also beat it in box office this weekend.
I was actually surprised how many people were there.
Yeah,
and I was really worried because
tonight you mean not Creature?
Yeah, tonight at Drive, I was worried because the audience wasn't very cool at the beginning, and I was thinking
the audience wasn't very cool just in life.
Yeah,
in their lives, they're not cool people.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, is this going to be like this? And what an unusual movie for there to be a problem in, because it doesn't really appeal to that kind of audience.
Yeah,
but anyways, more on that later.
About it later.
But we'll get right now into some real news.
Sure.
Hey, welcome back. What a sweet 1950s sound thing we have off of in public domain. What'd you call that? Anyways, I will start. As you know, I'm a huge fan of Spartacus, the TV show.
Yeah.
And I was really sad to find out that Andy Whitfield died on Sunday.
Yeah.
Of cancer. And I heard rumblings that he wasn't doing that well.
Well, I mean, that's why he quit the show.
Why he quit the show originally. And it also brings me to, I was reading that's why they shot the prequel, which is called Gods of the Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And he got better. And he was getting geared up to shoot the show. And then all of a sudden it came back really bad.
Yeah.
And he had to bow out. And he told them, he said, yeah, sorry, there's no way I can continue the show.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they were getting ready to film an actual sequel season, and now are having to recast because they were far enough along that they can't just try and continue the prequel.
And I was reading an interview with Sam Raimi, and he said that the only way they were going to make a new season is if Andy said it was okay. And Andy not only said it was okay, that after they cast Liam McIntyre, who took over for him...
Is he also Australian?
He is.
Weird.
He called... Andy called him and said, hey, good luck, you're going to do great in this show. So a class act all the way through, and that he passed away is really sad, especially at 39. And, the thing that always breaks my heart is when you read the statement released by his wife, and it said he was a great person and even a better father. And he has 2 little girls, and, that sucks.
Yeah.
And anytime you read that, it sucks. And also this week, or I guess it was last week, Cliff Robertson, the guy who played Uncle Ben, died.
Yeah.
But he's also in a lot of Sam Raimi movies that people might not know. He's in The Gift. He's in A Simple Plan. Yeah, he plays little bit parts in almost every Sam Raimi movie after the fact. When Sam Raimi became popular. But he also won an Oscar for Charlie. And he also played JFK in PT-109. So he had quite a distinguished career. And he passed away of natural causes this week. So it's kind of a sad week because I really like these actors. And if you've seen Spartacus, if you haven't seen Spartacus, you should, because he is... I'm not just saying that because he's passed away, but I've been saying it for a while. He's a really good actor in that show. And he has such a presence on it that it makes the show amazing. I can point to a scene. Have you seen the show?
No, I still haven't watched it.
Well, this is going to be spoilers.
That's fine.
He's He's captured by the Romans because he betrays them. He's originally a soldier, basically a mercenary hired by the Romans to fight in a battle.
Yeah.
And when they decide they're going to burn children, he wants no part of it. So him and his rest of his guys just run away. They basically abandon. And then they catch up to him and take him away from his wife. They sell him to a gladiator training thing, and his wife gets sold to a Syrian, I believe. And Batiatus is the guy who John Hannah plays, and he's this really conniving gladiator trainer. And he says, you know what, I'll use all my money. If you fight for me, I'll use all my money to find your wife. And so he finds her. And once he finds her, he still has to pay back the debt, so he lives in this thing. But when she shows up, she's almost dead. And so the whole thing is he had her killed. So, because now he has nothing to fight for. And I mean, it's like the third episode, so it's not really.
No. So that wasn't a.
Huge more. Oh, there's tons more going on, but in that scene when he sees his wife fall out and she's all stabbed through the chest and really powerful, and he also has a friend die. That's more shocking. I won't ruin that, but his friend dies in it too, and it's.
Does he have more than one friend?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then that's not a spoiler.
Yeah. But he plays those parts so well. I love acters that can play moments when the camera's just on them with no words.
Yeah.
And it's just their face. So, two people I'm really going to miss. We'll talk about that later, too. But two people I'm really going to miss. And it's a shame that Andy Whitfield couldn't do any more because that was really his first big break.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's just sad reading about it. And I liked both of those guys. So,
there is a little bit of a... Like, obviously I'm sad that the guy who played Uncle Ben is dead. But at the same time... it makes me more okay with the fact that Martin Sheen is playing Uncle Ben in the new movie.
Yeah.
Because I hated that cat because he was such a good Uncle Ben.
Oh, he was amazing.
To cast Martin Sheen, like this high-profile guy, as Uncle Ben, I was like, come on.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite moment of any Uncle Ben moment in Spider-Man, it might be one of my favorite scenes in Spider-Man trilogy, period, is in the second Spider-Man, is when Peter's having a conversation with his Uncle Ben in the car, and he's telling him it's okay to let go.
Yeah.
And both those, and people, will always knock Tobey Maguire, but that scene is really good.
Yeah.
And even in the first one, when he drops Peter off to the library, but Peter's going to go wrestle, that moment where Peter tells him, don't tell me how to live my life, and you just see the hurt on his face, but he's still, great
he
moments.
was amazing, yeah.
Great moments.
There are three things that above everything else that those Spider-Man movies did perfectly, and they're Aunt May, Uncle Ben, and J. Jonah Jameson.
Yep.
Like, those three characters are the three things that I hate that they have to recast for this reboot.
Yeah.
Like, especially JJ.
But he's not in it. I read it. He wasn't in it.
Good, because if they cast somebody else... and J.K. Simmons is still alive, it would be almost unforgivable to me. Like, that character is J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
So...
I've said this before, I'm really worried that they said they might not kill Uncle Ben in the new one, and that's just not right.
That's going to be... Yeah.
So hopefully they don't.
Based on the trailers, that's exactly what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, because it seems like he plays a bigger part, which is fine if he plays a bigger part, like Ultimate Spider-Man. In Ultimate Spider-Man, he doesn't die until, I think, the 5th issue. So
is he already Spider-Man at that point?
Well, yeah, he's wrestling and stuff, and he becomes Spider-Man. And then Uncle Ben hangs around for a few more issues, and then he makes the mistake. So they make the character of Uncle Ben a little more substantial.
Yeah.
Which is fine. If they do that, that's fine. But
I can't see how they could do that and have it still... Like, he's got to be in the Spider-Man suit, so he's got to be Spider-Man. So Uncle Ben has to die, or they write some new weird story.
Yeah, I hope not. That's my biggest fear of it. Other than that, the movie looks cool. But hey, what do you have for me, James? I talked a little bit about...
No, it's fine.
Things that made me sad.
Yeah. No, it's a shame. Not in any order. Speaking of things that make you sad, Ash is not going to be in the new Evil Dead movie.
I'm actually okay with it, and I'll tell you why. Because there's only one Ash, and that one Ash is Bruce Campbell. And I hope that Bruce Campbell has a cameo in it as Ash. And
he pretty much straight up said, like...
Ash isn't going to be in it, yeah.
So if it is, it's as a surprise.
Yeah, so because, I think actually the end of... Well, the reshot ending of Army of Darkness...
Yeah,
is I think would be cool to have in the new Evil Dead, where maybe at the end the kids get away and some monster comes up and Ash, fights it and kills it and does something goofy at the end. I think would be amazing. And I guarantee you, if that happens, people will be cheering in that audience because it's been 92, I believe, is when Army of Darkness came out. So it's been 20 years.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that old.
Yeah, 20 years since there's been an Ash sighting in anything.
Right.
So I think it's something to people gear up. And I'm okay with it because they would cast probably some punk kid to be him, like that Taylor Lautner guy would be Ash. And
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. You're just like, come on. It's just not going to work. Or Vin Diesel.
No.
Someone who can't deliver one-liner delivering one Ash's one-liners.
I worded that like I thought you were going to be sad about it, but I'm the same way. Yeah. I'm glad that they're not going to touch that character, and I also think that them saying Ash will not be in this movie is so that they can have Ash in the movie.
Yeah,
and have it be a surprise and something fun.
Because, it's...
Because what else is he doing? Like, really, Burn Notice is going to be in the way? No. He has to be in that movie somewhere.
No, he will be. And
even if he's just like the voiceover for the end of the movie. And then all the boys either died or lived. Like, he'll be in there somewhere.
Because, I love Bruce Campbell, and there's just some things you can't touch. And he's one of the characters, Ash, where it's not going to sound right. And actually, one of my biggest pet peeves is, now that we're on the subject, is I have Army of Darkness comic books because I'm a fan of Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions of the character of Ash is that he's a smart aleck all the time.
No.
Which he is. He's a smart aleck. But if you actually watch the movies, he's not really that way until he's forced to be. I mean, the rest of the time, he's actually a coward. He runs away from things, and he's not going to fight him. And if you really want to see the real version of Ash in Army of Darkness, watch the director's cut, which is 20 minutes longer. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
And he's... especially the last scene, the battle at the end is edited way differently because he hightails it for like 10 minutes because he's afraid.
Yeah.
And, that's the part of where they don't really don't say anything about that. And I think, and I think that's, so in the comic books, and a lot of times someone who's not Sam Raimi writing the character or Bruce Campbell performing it, is they will say, oh, he's going to say something funny here. He's going to say something funny. He's so wise. He's a wise ass. And he's not always that way.
Right.
And I think that's a tribute to Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell as a performer and as a writer, that they get it better than someone else. And that's why when it's in lesser hands, I'm talking to the Dynamite Entertainment comic books, that it's not as good. And I don't know if you've read them, but I hope you would concur with me that, the character is, I think, sometimes misinterpreted.
Yeah. No, I would expect, and I would be able to watch that brilliant director's cut if some heartless piece of shit hadn't stolen my my Boomstick edition.
Really? Isn't it right there?
No, that case is empty.
Oh,
there's nothing. There's nothing. This
shitty.
This is an empty Boomstick edition.
That is a limited edition DVD.
I know you can't get this DVD anymore. But someday I will buy a Blu-ray and stick it in this case because.
Yeah, and hey, Universal, if you're listening, or Anchor Bay, Darkness on Blu-ray, that's not shit.
Oh, that's right.
That Screwhead edition has the Deadites 10-minute EPK from 1992. Release a real one.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about those movies, because they're so cult and everybody buys them, is they release thousands of versions of them.
Right. But there's only one really, really good version.
And it's a Boomstick edition. And it's a collector's item. So if you find it, you're at a used DVD place and they have it for like $5, make sure you pick it up.
Yeah, and send it to me.
And send it to James Hart at Real Nerds. What else you got? Speaking
of cameos in movies, dude, Chuck Norris is going to be in Expendables 2.
I know, I saw that.
Have I ever told you I was a really big Walker Texas Ranger fan when I was little?
No, is this before it's cool to like Chuck Norris to be tough?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no. When Walker Texas Ranger, the show where, he it was basically like a crappy cop show, only they would kickbox at the end.
Yeah, actually, my favorite thing...
No one thought that show was cool except for me.
One of my favorite things that ever happened with Walker Texas Ranger is when NBC and Universal merged. This is 6-7 years ago on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. He had next to his desk a lever that he would pull and just put in a random Walker Texas Ranger clip, and it was hilarious.
They were
every
never good.
time.
Haley Joel Osment has that wonderful clip of him saying, "Walker told me I have AIDS." You know, it's just the show is crazy. At one point, there was like a magical Asian kid, and then there were a series of episodes with aliens in it, which I hated.
Really?
Because, well, yeah. Well, you mean really that I hated them because I'm.
Oh no, really, that's in the show.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I'm terrified of ET. Like, yeah, yeah. No, there was some weird like.
Wow.
You know, he was fighting bad guys because everybody was fighting over, and then it turned out that there was an alien, and I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. Yeah, that's why that show got canceled.
You know, Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. is like a Western with sci-fi. Have you ever seen it?
No,
With
that's
Bruce
the
Campbell?
Bruce Campbell one.
I should let you borrow the DVD set. Those are hard to find, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's why I've never seen it.
The episodes are freaking hilarious, though, because Bruce Campbell's the man. Like, he has the ability to ham it up where it's awesome. Like, I love his Jack of all trades show, too. Where he's an American Revolutionary vet who's in the Caribbean, and he fights French guys, and Napoleon is played by Vern Toyer, the mini-me guy. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's good. They're making a Point Break remake.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it going to have Keanu Reeves say lines like this? I am in the FBI.
See, that right there is why I love Point Break. Another movie that someone else has that I don't have anymore. That case of Point Break you see.
So is Brick...
Brick and Rain of Fire are also missing.
So that's your missing area on your
yeah.
DVD
Those four cases are the ones that when I put my DVDs back in their cases and put them up on the shelf, I couldn't find them in my case anywhere.
That sucks, dude.
Yup. Yeah, I mean the Point Break I got for $5 at Walmart.
Yeah, whatever.
Like a year ago.
And Rain of Fire is like one of those stupid movies that's really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
I love Rain of Fire.
Yeah, because it's different.
I'll buy it again.
It's different, you know.
And Brick, I know who has Brick, but I'm not entirely sure. I know one of two people have Brick, but I don't. Anyway, and that's another movie I'd be proud to buy again. I sent a tweet to Ryan Johnson like, "Hey, when's there going to be a Brick Blu-ray? Because someone stole mine," but he didn't tweet back.
What?
I know. Yeah, Point Break is one of those movies, kind of like Footloose, where it's going to come out, and I'm not going to go see it, because it's not going to offer anything that the original movie doesn't offer.
What is the point of remaking it?
Yeah, I mean, there are old movies I can see remaking. There's a movie I'm going to talk about in my What We've Been Watching that I actually think should be remade, which people will think is blasphemy, but not Point Break.
Yeah,
I mean, that movie's not even 30 years old.
And what's the point? Like
Catherine Bigelow, who made that movie, just won an Oscar 2 years ago.
Yeah, what's the point of remaking it? What else could they possibly tell from that story?
Yeah.
Are they going to put them in like George Bush masks instead of Richard Nixon?
I don't know.
Make it more poignant?
It's not going to have Tank Girl in it. I know that. It's not going to have Swayze in it.
Obviously.
Unfortunately. It's not going to have Keanu Reeves in it. Again, unfortunately. It's probably not going to have a lot of surfing in it.
Very unfortunately.
Yeah.
How's he going to die at the end then? Spoilers.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be horrible. Or it'll be exactly the same. It'll either be a shit movie or the same movie but not as good. So why would I see it? Speaking of which, Footloose, I mean, I love the original Footloose. Why? It's the same movie but with modern kids doing modern dancing. Makes no sense. They're going to make a channel that only shows The Simpsons.
Really?
Oh, good. You haven't heard about this one yet?
No.
Yeah, Fox wants to make more money on The Simpsons, so they're talking about creating a channel, like a cable channel, that shows nothing but The Simpsons 24/7.
Wow. I mean, there's not really you can say. It's
I don't know. It's crazy because it's something like that's never been done before. There is no channel that only shows one show.
I mean, I guess because I have the DVD. Well, actually, I skip seasons of DVDs because some seasons I really like and other ones I can't stand.
Yeah, eventually in that show it just sort of
like I was telling you today, I was watching Simpsons season 13.
Yeah,
and it's like one episode's really good, and then it has 4 or 5 that just retreading, and it's kind of like they lost their way. And seasons 1 through 9 are brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, that show suffers from the fact that it's been running so long.
Yeah.
And has done every story it can do. The characters aren't allowed to grow, so they're not allowed to get into new situations, really. Yeah. I mean, they grow a little bit over the course of the show, but the truth is, it's really more that they evolve and sort of get more into their little cubbyhole.
Yeah.
Where, like they're refined more. They don't necessarily change. And so you can't do much with those characters anymore. I don't think that they're doing this because there are actually people who want to watch The Simpsons all the time. I think they're doing this because they just want to make more money, which seems like the wrong reason to do something like this. Because the truth is, at this point, I think the only people who are really itching to see The Simpsons that much already have the DVDs.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of... That fan base has moved on to owning that show rather than watching it in syndication every day. Like... I mean, I don't watch it anymore at all. Do you actually still watch the new episodes?
No.
Oh, okay.
Every once in a while I'll catch one. That's because I'm at work and nothing else is on TV, and we're really slow Sunday nights, and then I'll put it on The Simpsons.
Is it on Sunday nights?
Yeah.
Did not even know that. I mean, honestly, if you told me that the show had been canceled 3 years ago, I would believe you. Well, I mean, other than the fact that I know it hasn't been, but... all right. The big news of the week, though, is that Netflix has lost 1 million subscribers in the last month.
That's a lot of money to take a hit on.
It is. It is. Now, the article on Slash Film said that apparently most, like 80% of those people are people who were only using DVD before, but had the streaming as well. And then when the price went up, they canceled entirely instead of switching over to DVD only, which would have cost the same price. So effectively, if they'd known, since they weren't using streaming before, they would have just gone ahead and canceled.
Well, is that something that Netflix is saying? Or is that like a fact? I was just curious if it's like pandering to their shareholders and saying, hey, these guys just didn't pay attention to what we were offering.
I don't think... I can't say for sure. I can say that, Netflix is being pretty upfront about it and apologetic about it. Mm-hmm. So I would assume that those are...
I guess it'd be accurate then.
Yeah, that is a number that they can actually show people. Because they're saying, like, we realize that we messed up and that we pissed some people off, but we're going to try and fix this or whatever. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to put prices back to the way they were. I think the biggest mistake they made was that they raised prices a lot really quickly.
Yeah.
If they had raised prices for $1, and then 5 months later raised prices for $1, and then raised prices for $1,
I
or
agree.
$2, then in a year or so, you're making as much money as you are now, and nobody notices, and you don't have this big drop off.
The company I work for, we slowly raise prices where people wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just, everybody's just sort of knows that happens.
Yeah,
like, that's currency gets worth less over time. So we know that prices are going to go up, but you don't double people's bill in a month.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, that's the kind of shit that like Comcast would do. Which is why I don't have Comcast anymore. Did you ever watch Party Down? We talked about this.
I haven't.
Okay, well, they're making a movie, and no one will go see it. I mean, I will go see it, because that show was brilliant. I mean, really, really good. I don't think there's a DVD yet.
I know no, there's not. I know one of my crushes, Kristen Bell, was in a few episodes of it.
And Lizzie Kaplan, who is mighty fine. Just,
nice.
Anyway. And then the last thing I have, two last things. We'll talk about the stupid thing. They're making a Source Code TV show, which is actually really...
I haven't even seen the Source Code, the movie.
Yeah, well, you should see the movie. From the trailer, you've seen the trailer, so you know the idea is like he's inside of this computer and he can relive the last 8 minutes of a
so my guess is they could probably do like every episode would be a new story.
Yeah, and it feels a lot like it'll be... do you remember a show called 7 Days?
Yeah.
It was on UPN.
Yeah.
It'll be like that. Which probably means it won't be the best show ever, but it's actually a pretty cool premise that could at least warrant a few seasons of a neat sci-fi show. Or they might make it and it might just be amazing. It might be... The truth is that there's some emotional weight in that movie that if they really held true to that part of the story, they could make like a new Lost as far as like having some really good character stuff in that show. At the same time, as a writer, I look at that show and I'm like, I don't know how you continue that character.
Yeah, that'd be hard. You'd have to have him have some sort of life outside the source code.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you would. Right. Moving on before I get myself in trouble.
Guess I should watch the movie.
You should, yeah. And I'm sure Brad is listening now like, oh my god, don't fuck this, oh my god. So some guys in Denver this last week pulled a weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
Did you see this article?
What the fuck is that about? Our hometown
Yes.
is sick.
Yeah. Did you actually read the article about what happened?
I did.
Okay, so these guys... I'm going to tell you anyway.
Yeah, go. I mean, tell, because we have a worldwide audience here.
We do. There are people literally in Arabia, which is not a country anymore, listening to this podcast. Never was. Arabia was... Anyway. So this guy's living with his friend. This guy doesn't have a job. He's living with his friend, Jared. And he comes home. Jared is dead. All right? So he goes to his friend, I don't know, Robert. And that name I'm making up. I think his last name is Robertson. He goes to his friend, and he's like, yo, dog, my friend is dead. Do you want to...
Did he say yo, dog?
Yeah,
because
he did.
That is great transcription.
He did. He was like, yo, dog, my friend is dead. Do you want to steal his credit card and go to the strip club? And so they did. And then they went to jail. And then, because when they were done, they were like... They called the cops, and they're like, hey, my friend is dead in my apartment. But I had a good night. And then the cops were like, yeah, that's illegal. And they took them to jail.
Did they actually physically take his corpse? I'm pretty sure they physically took his corpse out of the apartment. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
Oh, shit, I closed the article. I don't think so. I think they just... Shit. Sure, let's say they did. They took his corpse out of the apartment. Which is insane. Anyway, that was the last of the stories that I have. Here we go. Here, I found the actual article.
WTF, that's a way to...
Two men reenact Weekend at Bernie's in Denver. This is brilliant radio.
Yes, it is.
All right. So the story is that Jared got invited Young to live. So Young is the guy that didn't die, but Jarrett died. So Jarrett dies, and instead of calling 911,
they put it in the back of his SUV.
Yeah,
they literally took the corpse out of the apartment.
They went to the bar and they drank on Jarrett's tab, and then while his body was in the back seat of the trunk. And then at some point, they brought Jared's body back to the apartment, took his ATM card, got some Mexican food, probably at a Qdoba, and then they drove and they got $400 out of an ATM and went to the strip club. And then when they were done getting titties in their face,
so my guess is they probably got a felony for desecration of a corpse.
Yeah, actually it says right here. Yeah, that's what it says. I can't find it because I don't know how to read because I'm dyslexic. But they did. The desecration of a corpse is exactly what it was.
What a bunch of punks, man.
It's insane. And they're like grown-up people, I think. I mean, they were like 27 or something like that.
Yeah, it's grown up.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. They can rent a car, so obviously they can steal a corpse. And
the truth is, the most bizarre thing about the whole situation to me is I didn't know anyone really liked that movie that much. I thought that movie was a joke. So... anyway,
the guy who plays Bernie in that is Dr. Cruz in Friday the 13th Part 7, and he gets his insides grinded out by Jason's weed whacker.
First of all, I hate that you know the name of a character who gets their insides grinded out by a weed whacker in Friday the 13th Part 7.
The New Blood.
But I'm slightly impressed. Yeah. Yep. Do you know that guy's name, Bernie?
It is... Fudge. If I think about it, I'll remember it.
Still, I don't think we can be friends anymore. That was insane. All right. So that was all of news. That's the end of news.
That was you got my Evil Dead thing, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty good at reading all of the things that I read on the week.
Yep, you are. It's like that's like your job.
Yeah, I know.
You have a job.
I take it very seriously
on the podcast, and that's informing us because I read it all, but I know that you write it down. So I don't take the time to write down. And I check your notes before. Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. That's what I was going to talk about. So
yeah,
we're in the same boat.
I'm going to start. I need to start trimming some of them more since there are things that we don't really need to talk about, especially since there are things that we'll talk about later. But
it's fun. It's okay. Hey, there's no rules in this podcast, James.
I think there are like firm rules. When we started the podcast, didn't we like?
We did. We had a mission statement.
A series of
mission statement.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, what have you been watching?
Not quite as thick as Jerry Maguire's. What I've been watching this week, I watched Spartacus: Gods of the Arena, which just came out on Blu-ray, and that show.
Had you not seen that season before?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Is it the first season of the prequel?
It's The first season is Blood and Sand, and then the prequel is Gods of the Arena.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
it's the only season of the prequel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's pretty fascinating.
I feel like that should have been on longer than that. So
yeah, it's only 6 episodes, which is a bummer because
Starz doesn't have a lot of money.
Yeah, John Hannah is amazing as Badiatus in it, and Lucy Lawless is really good as his wife, who's really good at
taking her clothes off,
and huge political stuff going on in that show.
Okay. I didn't know there were actually I didn't know that any of the people who got naked actually had characters. To them.
Oh yeah,
I just assumed it was just a lot of nudity.
It is a lot of nudity, but they all are in it, and they all kind of
late night Cinemax.
Yeah, but way better made and tons of gore.
No, I keep meaning to watch it. I just haven't downloaded it yet. I mean, rented it legally.
And I guess the big thing that I watched is I rewatched X-Men First Class, and I watched Thor too.
I watched Thor too,
and so it's kind of reliving my favorite movies of the summer.
Thor is my favorite Marvel movie.
Really? Wow.
Having seen it now a second time, that movie almost made me cry this time.
Wow, I have to rewatch it. Rewatch it again. I enjoyed it, but
oh man, mostly because Kenneth Branagh is amazing and knows. Have you watched the special features on the disc?
I haven't,
because there's a whole section that is all about the way that Kenneth Branagh pulls these amazing performances out of these actors. Even people like Anthony Hopkins, who are always good, but there's actually an unused version of the scene when when Odin banishes Thor that they show you. Unfortunately they don't show you the actual footage. They show you a guy behind them filming it. That when it's over, they describe it as like Anthony Hopkins did this performance, and then everyone on the sidelines was bawling, and just because basically Kenneth Branagh goes up to him, and they've done it 4 or 5 times or whatever, and Kenneth Branagh goes up and very quietly he's like, okay, now I want you to do it again, but this time do it as if he has everything he just said broke your heart. And then Odin does that whole performance again, and there's a little bit of that in the movie. That scene still has that weight to it, but
yeah,
Kenneth Branagh
not
is just
that surprised because
unmatched.
Kenneth Branagh is that huge
Shakespeare,
and he's an actor's director because he's an actor too. So I think he understands it, and he understands the power of words and how they're delivered. And I'll have to watch that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because my favorite behind the scenes are with Sam Raimi because he's goofy, and one of my favorite moments in any behind the scenes is Spider-Man 3. The behind the scenes guy is just filming, and basically Sam Raimi is talking to Tobey Maguire about what he wants to happen in the scene, and he looks behind him and he sees that the guy's filming, and he comes back and says, "And if I see you mess up the scene again, I'm going to kick your ass." And it's really funny because he's hamming it up for the camera, and it's kind of interesting. So yeah, I'll have to watch the special features, but yeah, I X-Men, yeah, including the movie we saw tonight.
Oh, sorry. Let me make it clear. When I say Thor is my favorite Marvel movie, I mean Marvel Studios.
Okay.
I don't mean, out of... I can't quite compare it to the Spider-Man movies yet, but I mean out of Iron Man 2, Captain America, Thor, out of those... And even that, comparing that to Iron Man 1.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The Thor has character moments, I think, are really good.
I think they're unmatched by the other Marvel movies. It's
but I still got a kick out of seeing Wolverine in X-Men. And
I forgot about that. I didn't get a chance to buy that this week, so maybe next week.
And one of the amazing scenes that I loved was even still really amazing is when Magneto he's controlling that coin, and Sebastian Shaw is just sitting there, and it's
at the beginning or the end?
The end.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a powerful performances. And I think what's really cool about comic book movies is they've really gotten away from the comic-y aspect of them. I know a lot of people love the 89 Batman. I'm not a big fan of it.
Neither am I.
Because they get away from, I'm Batman. And it's really about the character moments that create those for characters. And that's one of them. Because it's almost like Professor X and Magneto are breaking up at that point.
it's a powerful moment.
It's a powerful moment.
And especially that movie, if you had made that movie first, it wouldn't have had the weight that scene has. If you're somebody who has seen the first 2 X-Men movies, there's so much weight behind that scene and that relationship. And even if they'd made that movie first and fans came to it, they would feel the same way.
And you know what I didn't pick up the first time I watched it, and I picked up the second time, is Sebastian Shaw is being held there by Professor X. So Professor X is actually playing a part into his murder.
Yeah.
Because he knows if he lets him go, then he's going to be able to unleash this power that no one can contain. So he lets him die. And so it's a really fascinating, and I'm surprised I didn't notice that before. Obviously, it's clear as day now.
Right.
But a really awesome moment in that movie where Professor X is holding him, and he knows that this is going to be Eric's fall from grace. And watching it again too, you know, Brad had the huge thing he didn't like is he said, well, they build up that these two guys have some huge history together, and then like a day later we're supposed to feel for him. But I watched it again, and there's a huge time lapse.
Yeah.
In the movie that they're obviously not showing.
And I don't think that it's I think Xavier knows Eric really well, but not in a way that necessarily they've been friends for years.
Exactly.
Like they grew up together. It's more like he believes
he knows him.
He has this. He believes he has this potential, and he wants him to be a good person. And it's an internal conflict on his part where, Xavier is making certain choices. He could believe the things that Eric does, but he wants to be that better person. He wants to be sort of the optimist of the group.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, at a certain level, especially in that movie, you're not talking about good versus evil the way that you might be in X-Men, the first movie.
Yeah,
you're really talking about optimists versus pessimists, people who believe in humanity and people who don't.
I've always said this too, is they believe the same thing.
Eric is still a hero in that movie.
Yeah, they believe the same thing.
Yeah.
But they believe it in a different way. And if you put yourself in Eric's shoes, he sees the bad in people.
Right.
And where he comes from, Auschwitz and the concentration camps, Charles comes from a life of privilege.
Yeah.
So he thinks everybody's good and he can correct people. So that movie, I think it's the best X-Men movie. And a lot of people will disagree with me, but I do. And I
think it's probably the best, like, character-wise, it's probably the best X-Men movie. And probably, once I see it again, I'll probably agree with you. It was a movie that, in theaters, I had some sort of momentum issues with. But that tends to happen to me with movies like that, where when I first see them, I think that things don't glue together quite as well, and then when I see them again, they work out for me.
But going back to what you watched, Thor, did you watch the Marvel short? I haven't even seen the Marvel short.
Oh yeah, I saw the Marvel short. The Marvel short's awesome.
Is it really?
Oh, it's really cool. I mean, it's cool, like, like a fun, geeky way. Because basically, I don't know if I should tell you this, but they're sort of tying together the post-credits scenes.
Okay.
That's most of what it is. Like, they put those post-credit scenes in a different light. That's what I'll tell you.
Cool.
And it's just neat to see Agent Coulson.
Yeah. Because he's been in every one of the Marvel Studios movies, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. He's a big character. Actually, he's a bigger character than Nick Fury is.
Yeah, because he's in the Incredible Hulk, if I remember correctly, isn't he? Maybe he's not. Maybe that's the only one he's not in.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think he is.
I have to rewatch it.
Probably because they didn't realize how much... Because, that was the same year as Iron Man.
Yeah.
And everybody loved him in Iron Man. They probably didn't, when they were making Incredible Hulk, realize
I guess
that he was going to be as big.
But RDJ's in the Incredible Hulk, so I'll take him.
It's funny, there's an interview recently that Joss Whedon did where he said that Agent Coulson is maybe the surprise or the most fun that he's having writing...
really?
The new writing Avengers, because he said every time that he gets stuck, every time that he needs the characters to know something or something like that, Agent Coulson comes along and just sort of like, shows up and feeds people certain things, and he's just sort of this wild card that helps
so
that
I
movie
still think
along.
there's something in the Avengers that they're not telling people, because it seems too easy that it's just Loki. There's something, because I read an interview with the actor who portrays Loki, and he doesn't die in the Avengers.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
you can't kill Loki.
Well, yeah, but
you send him to the negative zone.
Yeah, he's immortal. But he also says that what he does will surprise you, and it kind of bridges his arc for Thor 2, which is all these movies are having a huge overlapping thing. So the planning is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. I have a feeling, there's going to be some catching the Hulk scene. That's probably where it might start. Is them them fighting the Hulk and catching the Hulk, and then having Bruce Banner, and then. Was it Brad that said something about maybe them using the Cosmic Cube to bring back Red Skull?
Yeah.
I can see that.
I see it too.
That would be a surprise. But the truth is, what I would want is for them to bring in a different villain.
Yeah.
Then, bring in somebody else.
I think they
Thanos.
have to.
No, I don't want Thanos.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be almost too big.
Yeah, he's cool because he's a Titan.
I
think it's cool because he's a Titan. And
but they instead of doing the Cosmic Cube, they would have done the
Infinity Gauntlet.
The Infinity Gauntlet was in Thor, and they removed
it was.
So you've
yeah, it's
They're
really
not
cool.
bring in Thanos. That's silly.
Yeah, it's interesting that. It's cool because I'm such a nerd and I'm such a Marvel fanboy that they do all this Marvel stuff because...
And they're doing it well.
Oh, very well.
Whether you're... if you're outside of the Marvel circle and you feel like it's all kind of schlocky or whatever, fine. Yeah. As long as the movies make money and the fans are happy as they are now, they're doing a good job.
Exactly. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to. Now you got me stoked to go watch the special features. I'll have to.
They're really good, and they're not long. It'll take you half an hour or something like that. But there's some really good ones in there.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
What else you been watching?
Oh, are you done?
What else have I been watching? I think that's
okay.
It. Oh, I've been watching some of Community.
Oh yeah.
Season 2, and the zombie episode is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Me loving zombies, and my favorite moment is when Troy gets bit and he's trying to get to the air conditioner, and he passes Jeff, and Jeff is on his BlackBerry still texting, and Troy is in pain. He says, "Damn, Jeff, even as a zombie, you're still cool."
That episode is amazing, mostly because, or not mostly because, partially because what happens in that episode, as bizarre as it is, has an effect on the rest of the season. There's a little thing from that episode. Yeah,
that's the last episode I watched.
I know. That's why I'm being careful about how I say it. But
and I love the.
I want to say that now because when you watch it, you'll be like, "Holy!" They keep calling back to that. Like that's insane.
Because and I love Senior Chang when he has a conversation with himself. Good Chang and bad Chang.
Yeah,
is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
because he wants to get in their group to destroy them and. That show is just awesome.
Well, we'll end up talking about it a lot next week when the new season starts.
I'm sure. when I finish watching the second one too.
Yeah. So real quick, I want to talk about the fact that last night Archer and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia came back.
Yeah, it did.
But you don't watch Archer, do you?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Archer's really good.
I heard it is.
Yeah, when I watched the first episode when it first came out, and I think I turned it off 10 minutes in because I was like, "This is stupid. Come on, they're talking about like having sex with dogs or whatever." Like there was some crazy stuff in that show. But then Ryan, my roommate Ryan, watched it over the summer before the second season started, and he said, "Oh man, it was really good. We got to watch it." And then I fell in love with it. Like the show was just great. So you should check it out sometime. And then Always Sunny.
It's out of control.
I mean, it's gotten weirder over time, and it's really hard for me to say that it's still the funniest show on television since Community is so good.
But they do things.
But man, Always Sunny is brilliant.
It is brilliant,
and those characters are just getting weirder and funnier.
I think that's why that show is so funny, and it's just like Community, where it seems like they kind of don't have a filter and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
and they find a way to work it in. Whether it's Community and they're doing the paintball episode, which everybody loves, and it's basically an action movie.
Right.
Where Always Sunny can take something and just make it absolutely ridiculous. Terrible people. The people in Always Sunny are terrible people.
No, there's no one likable in that show.
Exactly, but for some reason you love
for
them.
all of them. Yeah. Especially because they're so stupid.
Yeah, I was saying, Frank, his hair is getting so out of control, and he just looks so
looks worse than he did in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Like, he's more scary now.
And obviously it's part of his character. And one of the funniest things in the new one that I thought was kind of a throwaway joke, but it's really funny, is they were washing their clothes by boiling them, him and Charlie.
Oh yeah, the scene when they're talking about finding denim under the river.
Yeah.
The whole thing about suddenly they're going, or under the bridge, I mean. Suddenly they're going to the bridge and finding stuff. And when, spoilers for the episode, when the whore dies, I thought they're going to go dump her under the bridge. Like, that's what's going to happen. They're going to pull up on the bridge and push her out of the car off the bridge. That's the end of the episode. But no, instead they had a funeral, basically, and threw her into the... It's worse. They pushed her into the hallway. Oh, man.
Or when Charlie's trying to set up Frank, who's his limo driver, and Charlie's a rich Texan cowboy.
Yeah.
And he eats tons of blood capsules and starts puking up real blood. And
that's the thing, that like sometimes that show will do something like that where it goes so crazy that it's almost like it's, you know, it's I get taken aback for a second. I'm like, whoa, that was too far. But that one didn't even happen for me. That one I was just like, what is going on, you know?
It's one of those shows too you have to watch and kind of continue watching it.
Yeah.
To fully understand the characters.
Yeah.
Because they do some things. Why would you like these people?
Right.
And then
you wouldn't. You would not like these people.
And Mac gaining 50 pounds.
Which is crazy. Yeah. I would have sworn that was makeup, but you're telling me...
Yeah, no, you should read the interview with him and his wife and how he wanted... The original story he wanted to do, because for people who don't know, the guy who plays Mac is actually the creator of the show, head writer of the show. He wanted him to gain lots of weight.
And married to Caitlin Olsen.
Yeah, and who plays Dee. He wanted his wife, Caitlin Olsen, who plays Dee, to gain the weight with him. Each gain 50 pounds, and she wouldn't do it because she just got done being pregnant. He says, okay, I'll do it. And he... just 8 tons, and it's pretty funny.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's crazy. That means that when he was injecting himself with insulin, he was... Well, it was probably not a real needle. It was how does that work? How would they do... Oh, I know how that needle works. Neat. Yeah, it was a great episode. But the big thing is, last week, when I was out of town with my family, we went to Estes Park, and for the first time I got to go see the Stanley Hotel up there. I had never been there before.
It's a nice hotel.
Yeah, and I only kind of knew the story about how it was involved in The Shining, and I asked the guy at the front desk, and he said, okay, so he laid it all out. He said, okay, so in 1975, Stephen King went there, he stayed in the hotel, and while he was there, it inspired him to write the story of The Shining, but he didn't write any of it at the Stanley Hotel. And then Stanley Kubrick was gonna shoot there, but he wouldn't have been able to get a shot without Safeway in the shot, because Safeway is down the hill. Like it's a specific shot that you would want to get Safeway in the shot. So it's a sort of crazy idea, or crazy reason to not have it in the movie. And then, so they didn't film any of the Kubrick movie there, but then Stephen King didn't like the Kubrick movie for reasons I'll get into, and then in 1992, I believe, made the TV version, which is what I just watched this week.
Yeah.
And that movie is shot with Steven Weber and Rebecca De Mornay at the Stanley Hotel. And in fact, they changed some of the interiors. It used to be all white inside, and now it's all wood. And they changed it for that movie and left it that way, just because people want to walk in there and be like, "Oh, we're in The Shining." So I don't think there's a good version of The Shining. Is what I've gotten out.
I think The Shining is one of the most overrated horror movies ever made.
Yeah, you know. Okay, then I think you should watch the... Well, there's a part of me that makes me think that you should watch...
Where can I find the TV version of The Shining?
You can buy it at the Stanley Hotel, or you can rent it. Or I torrented it, because unfortunately Netflix doesn't have it on streaming, and it's 2 discs. It's split into 2 discs.
Is it like a... So it's like a
miniseries? It's a miniseries, yeah. So it's 4.5 hours long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's 3 sections, an hour and a half each. But there's the first 2 sections are on 1 disc, and the third section is on the second disc. And I'm like, I don't want to wait 4 days to get, or a week really, to get the final section. So I torrented it. So sue me. They might. It's a way better story than is in the Kubrick version. I watched the Kubrick version now. I don't think, scary-wise, I don't think it stands up. I think that movie's really dated. Jack Nicholson is amazing. I mean, really amazing. The movie's beautifully shot, the Kubrick version. You know, possibly the axe shot of him swinging the axe at the door might be one of the best shots in the history of movies. It's amazing, even though it's simple. And I like the way Kubrick shoots. So that movie is pretty, but it's not scary, and it doesn't really do a good job of the story. The TV version has plenty of time to stretch out and really make it about a father who was an alcoholic, who doesn't want to hurt his kids, and you sort of see his motivations as he goes crazy. In fact, like in the Kubrick version, basically he goes and he breaks the stereo or the radio, so they can't. And there you think like, well, he's crazy, he's going to kill people. He doesn't want them to call for help. Well, no. In the TV version, he does it because he's in that room and he starts hearing voices, and he starts hearing his father's voice, thinks it's coming from the radio, has this whole dialogue with it, gets mad and breaks the radio, and then doesn't even remember that it happens. Like it's a movie that's like it's written in such a way that there's a lot of sort of intrigue. The characters don't trust each other. It's very much sort of like The Thing, where you don't know. Well, I mean, you always know who's lying and who really did everything, but the characters don't know. And so it's scarier in that way because it's more about these. I mean, he's going crazy, but in a way that you can really see gradually, whereas in the Kubrick version, like, he just goes crazy and starts killing people. And it's more about his alcoholism. You know, the Kubrick version pays lip service to it, but the TV version, it's really about, like, he's an abusive father. And that's part of why I'm so fascinated by it, because I've read Stephen King's memoir where he talks about that movie, and while he was writing the book, when he was writing the book, he says it wasn't until it was over that he realized he was writing a book about himself, which is not an uncommon thing with writers. Yeah. But, you know, at that time, he was pretty heavily an alcoholic, so much so that he admits that there are books he doesn't remember writing. Cujo, he doesn't remember writing at all. Just has forgotten it entirely because he was such an alcoholic. Wow. I think he also did coke for a while, but I'm
reading that.
Yeah. And which is why Maximum Overdrive is so bad, because he was a coke addict at the time.
Yeah, the only cool thing in it is the Green Goblin. Yeah, is one of the trucks in it.
Yeah, and so I have this fascination with The Shining, and I wish there was a good version. The TV version is actually scripted by Stephen King, which means there are some loose bits to it. There are some scenes that don't work quite as well. I really feel like, you know, it's 4.5 hours long. I think you could condense it down into 2.5 hours and make a really brilliant movie. But it's not. I can't even necessarily recommend it. You know, like it's good, and if you're interested, you should see it. But it's not scary necessarily, though there are some good scenes. There's a whole thing with a topiary. You know, like the plants, carved into animals. The worst, because they come alive and then they attack people. But it's just a couple of scenes, and they just shouldn't be there. They should just be cut out entirely. Like it has no purpose in the movie. Anyway, so what I'm saying is they should remake The Shining, and no one's gonna agree with me. But
send the hate mail to realnerds@gmail.com.
Send us hate mail. I pray that you send us hate mail. Yeah, because I don't like him. Either of them. But Steven Weber does a really good job. You know, it's sort of like with the Joker in the Batman movies, where Jack Nicholson does an amazing job as that character in The Shining. And so Steven Weber, you know, stepping into that role is brave, and he does a really good job. The kid who plays Danny has way too many lines, and most of them aren't very good. And it's not a very well-directed movie. So that's what I've been watching.
Nice. So you know what movie beat The Shining in opening weekend in 1980?
No, what?
Or 79. Was it 80 or 79? I think it's 80. Friday the 13th.
Really?
It did.
Wow.
Just saying, my taste in horror movies is better than a lot more people.
I honestly, I think if I'd seen that movie when it came out, it would have terrified me. Or if I saw it when I was a kid, but I only saw it like a year ago.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. It's alright.
There's just some weird stuff that doesn't... In fact, the...
Kubrick movie with weird stuff?
Yeah. If the story were told properly, like that scene where she's running up the stairs and she looks in and she sees like the pig dressed up as a bear, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That would make sense. because what you learn is that there's actually a scene, that doesn't happen in the TV version, but there's a scene where there is a guy dressed up as a wolf because they're at this masquerade ball. Like, and I could almost see, like, I thought that scene was actually going to come. I thought that they were implying certain things about these ghosts that we were going to see later in that scene. But the Kubrick version just like throws that in there, like here's some crazy shit, like you,
like a lot of Stanley Kubrick movies.
Yeah, I don't think I like him.
Yeah, he's all right.
I love the way he shoots. I love the symmetry thing.
You know, the one movie of his I've never seen that I probably should see is Dr. Strangelove.
I've never seen it either.
It was for sale for $9 on Blu-ray, and it was a really cool Blu-ray. It's looked like a book.
Oh.
So I was thinking about getting it. It's on sale till the end of October, so I have time to think about if I want to go get it.
Yeah, for $10, I might even go.
Because that's one of the things whenever I'm at Best Buy or Target, and if it's a movie I want, but I don't know if I want it that bad, I always look to see how long it's on sale for, because they always have the dates on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you look on the very bottom right, it'll always say, I don't know, 9/16 through 9/23.
Oh, wow.
Or in the case of Dr. Strangelove, it's the end of October.
Wow. Real nerds, giving you tips on saving money.
Save money. Well, time to review Drive. But before we review Drive...
We're going to review Drive.
We're going to review Drive first, actually. So, James, should people go see Drive?
Yeah. End of story. Yeah, you should go see Drive. But I will say, don't expect... I don't even know what you would expect or what you should expect. Just don't expect what you were expecting.
I will say Drive is one of the best movies I've seen this year. Yeah. And with that, here goes the trailer.
If I drive for you,
you give me a time and a place. I give you a 5-minute window.
Anything happens in that 5 minutes and I'm yours, no matter what. I don't sit in while you're running it down. I don't carry a gun. I drive.
So you just moved to LA?
No, I've been here for a while.
What do you do?
I drive for movies.
Isn't that dangerous?
It's only part-time.
You put this kid behind the wheel. There's nothing he can't do.
Kid, I want you to meet Mr. Bernie Rose.
My hands are a little dirty.
So am I.
My husband's coming home.
Where is he?
He's in prison.
There's some guys that want me to do a job for them, and I'm not gonna do it.
What is that you got there? One of those men gave you that? What's the job?
When you get your money, his debt's paid. You never go near his family again.
Did you have any idea there'd be a second car?
He said there would be another car to hold us up.
Whose money do I have?
I'm gonna tell you something. Anybody finds out, we're both dead.
That's why this driver's gotta go, Bernie. He's gotta go.
Do you remember this?
No. Any dreams you have or plans for your future, I think you're gonna have to put that on hold. For the rest of your life, you're gonna be looking over your shoulder.
Welcome back. Drive stars Ryan Gosling, and you never hear his name throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, his character is nameless.
His character, I think, is listed as Driver, I think, in the credits.
It is.
And it's kind of interesting. And, you know, I didn't really notice he didn't have a character name in it until Shannon, who's his mentor, who's a Hollywood stunt driver who now trains him to do that, just kept on calling him Kid.
Was it the scene in the
garage?
Yeah, in the garage. Yeah. Well, all of his scenes are in the garage, but I think we're talking about the same one.
When Carey Mulligan's character came.
Yeah, and he's the car. I totally did the same thing. I was like, I don't know this guy's name.
Yeah, and they just kept on calling him. I'm like, maybe he's just called Kid, but he's listed as Driver when I was watching the credits. I don't
from the director of the Pusher trilogy and Bronson is a guy named Nicholas Winding Refn. I believe he's a French guy because the Pusher trilogy is French. Yeah. It's a trilogy of movies about drugs and people killing each other over drugs. I've never seen it, but everybody says it's good.
Brad loves Bronson.
Yeah.
So he really wanted to see this, but Brad is in California, so he's really living with the stars.
Yeah.
But no, this movie was really cool. Because it had like a 1980s action movie feel to it.
Oh yeah.
Where,
oh man, when those titles came up and they were in pink cursive, I was like, what are we watching? Was this made in 1982?
Kind of like a Miami Vice vibe.
Exactly, yeah.
And it was, the colors in it were really soft.
And it's got that synth pop soundtrack that sounds like... And it's actually very sort of Lethal Weapon-y.
Yeah, the good analogy. Because, I mean...
Eric Clapton.
The opening of the movie is him telling these people... I guess we should start off by saying that he has
driver.
He has 3 jobs.
Oh, yeah.
He does. He has a driver where he'll drive for illegal activity, where all he does is drive.
Yeah.
He doesn't carry a gun.
It's like the transporter.
Exactly. You have 5 minutes to rob whatever you're going to rob, come back in, he'll get you from point A to point B, and after that, he's done. And so the opening scene was him telling these guys that. They rob something. I don't know, it was like a garage.
You never find out. They run into a warehouse and run back out with money.
And he drives and he's eluding the cops, and how he wanted a car that'll blend in, so Shannon set him up with a Chevy Impala.
The most popular car in California.
Which we learned today. I did not know that. And how he gets away is he goes to the Staples Center where the Lakers are playing, parks his car where everybody else is, gets out of the car, walks away.
Yeah. And it's a good, intense, sort of different kind of car chase, because there are times when he's getting chased and he gets away and turns around a corner. It almost makes it feel like getting away from the cops is really easy.
Yeah.
Because he, turns corners and hides back here, and then he parks in a place, and then he moves over here, and then there's a helicopter. It's a cool shot.
Yeah, and because, too, he also, kind of a throwaway line he says at the beginning, too, is he says... There's 160,000 roads in Los Angeles, and I know them all.
Yeah.
So he listens to the scanner, and he kind of...
The route doesn't matter. Like, there is no, figure out how you're going to get from one place to the other. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's just...
Yep.
It's a great scene.
So it's a cool introduction to the character.
And it's like a cold open. This is all before the credits even start.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a cool cold opening because it kind of sucks you into this world where he's... And then you find out that... Well, there's a great... tease where the next scene you see him and he's wearing a cop uniform. And you're like, oh, he's a cop, and everybody laughs. But then you find out he's actually a stunt driver for Hollywood movies.
Right.
Which
is his second job.
That's his second job. And then he actually has a third job, too, where he works at the garage with his mentor, Shannon.
As a mechanic.
As a mechanic. And then you find out that Shannon wants to put him in a NASCAR
which is
drive.
A weird subplot.
It is a weird subplot, but it's like, what can this guy not do? I guess is what they're saying is he's kind of a do-all kind of guy.
The most interesting, the most noticeable thing about this movie is that it has almost a silent protagonist, which is the kind of thing that, like, in video games is stale and dull, and I hate it and it's offensive. Here it's super fresh and creepy at times, and makes every scene sort of grounded and real, because there's just so much quiet,
and you never know what he's thinking.
Right.
You don't know if he's happy, and the only time he's happy is when he's hanging out with that little boy.
Yeah.
And Carey Mulligan's character, they have great chemistry in this movie.
They do. Yeah.
And it was cool because too, most action movie heroes, they always have those clever one-liners to say, and he doesn't.
He hardly says anything at all. It also means that the movie never talks down to the audience, never really explains anything. It sort of works assuming that you have seen enough gangster movies, or that you are a gangster, that you know how crime works to a certain extent, so that when he gets in trouble, when you see little hints here and there, you know what's going on. It does at some point finally give you one little scene of exposition where they tell you, like, okay, this guy did this, and this is why they got in this situation and all that. But if you don't know that already, then you have been lost for the last hour of the movie. Or I don't know how long. I have no idea how long the movie was. It felt
maybe
like
an hour and a half, maybe.
Oh, wow. Because it feels longer than that.
It does.
Not boring, but just because everything is so quiet.
Yeah, because, I mean, you were saying this on the way back to recording this. There's so many scenes where people just sit there.
Yeah.
They don't talk.
And it makes you sort of pay attention. I was joking that, like, there's a scene, there really is a scene where no one was saying anything, and I was just paying attention to the way that Carey Mulligan was breathing. Like, I was getting character stuff out of the way that I want to think that she was breathing in a way that it was noticeable on purpose so that I would know that she was tense and excited by what was going on, because nobody was saying anything.
You know what scene I thought, I was looking for something more in, but I mean nothing really happened, was the scene where he's holding Christina Hendricks' mouth and he's pointing at her. And he doesn't really say very much.
No.
And it's just...
He's just like, don't lie to me. And then he points at her.
Yeah.
And then she tells him things.
And tells him the truth.
Oh, it's an amazing character. I mean, really what it comes down to, it's a movie, it's Taken or it's The Transporter, but in the hands of like a craftsman who's going to really just focus on these characters and focus on telling this story in a very concise but interesting, character-driven way.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then because there's really not much sound or music in the movie, there are a few almost music video-y kind of moments where they play almost a whole song. But other than that, there's really no music. So when there's violence, it gets you. Like all of a sudden, I mean, the first time that there is a shot fired in the movie outside the pawn shop is frightening.
Yeah,
you know, like he really scares you, and it also lends itself to being a very sort of realistic take on that violence, because since everything's quiet, since these people don't tell us a lot about themselves, so they just feel like real people. So then when people die, and they do, they really die. They feel like they...
That too, and that scene, they set you up because you think that he can get away from anything.
Yeah.
You know, and then to know that dude gets shot, thinking that he'd be able to get out.
Oh, and what a great twist.
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely spoiling, but when you find out that her husband is coming back, you're like, oh man, you think, okay, he's been in jail, he's gonna be this douche, and then the first scene you see him in, he gives this speech that's like, I don't care if he was killing babies before, I believe people can change.
Yeah.
Like, like, okay, cool, I like this guy. And so then it adds this whole bizarre dynamic to the movie where you don't even necessarily know who you're rooting for. You almost want him to help this guy that you don't want him to help because you want him to end up with her.
But I think the people you root for is the mom and the little boy.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're obviously the innocent people in the whole movie.
And because you sort of get a sense throughout the movie that the driver is somebody who moved here because he did the stuff he's doing now somewhere else.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's probably why you never know
because
his
he
name.
used to do it in Miami. Yeah.
And, you know, and he goes to a place where we're not going to ask him questions. He's just going to work on cars.
Right.
And, yeah, there's even quiet moments, you know, when he's driving with Carey Mulligan and her little boy's asleep in the back, and she just grabs his hand. And you're like, oh, it's kind of cute. You know, it's...
Oh, there's so much storytelling done with no talking at all.
Yeah,
I mean, the montage early on when he gets to know this woman next door, you know, they don't talk to each other. There's not like some nice scene where they're flirting or anything like that. It's basically told through like, you know, he spends this nice afternoon with them, and then her son falls asleep, and he carries the son into the house, and like right then, and just with the looks on people's faces, you know, like, oh, these are people that sort of love each other, and you don't even know that she's married until she says her husband is coming back.
Yeah,
but when she says it, you know, he already knew she was married.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's too. You think the husband be dead because they have like a picture, and she says, oh, he's in prison.
Yeah, and then you think, well, okay, because she doesn't call him her husband, she calls him her son's dad.
Yeah. And
so you think, well, oh, okay, yeah, but, you know, even if he gets out sometime, like, they're not married or anything.
Exactly.
And then he gets out and he's this amazing guy. And you're like, oh, come on. That's not what I wanted for this guy. It's the kind of twist that you would see in a book where you need a much longer conflict going on.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that this is a movie where I... Not even intentionally avoided everything about this movie. I told you, I think I saw the trailer when it first came out. Me too. But then I haven't seen the trailer. I've recently, when the trailers have been on TV, I have not looked away or whatever. It wasn't until yesterday I even knew Bryan Cranston was in the movie. The effect that had was that when the credits were coming up on the screen, and I was seeing like Albert Brooks and Ron Perlman, I was like,
I didn't even know they were in the movie at all.
These people are in the movie?
Yeah, and they're great in the movie
as
the villains.
Every time Albert Brooks shows up in anything.
What else is he a villain in?
I don't know.
He's pretty good in it.
He is. He's really good. His version of the In-Laws is not good, but other things that he is in, he's really good. It was just simply amazing. And I don't even know what to compare it to. Like,
yeah,
it's not like anything I've ever seen. It's so quiet and understated.
And that's why it's cool, too, because it's cool to see movies like that every once in a while where they take time for the story to develop, because so many times in action movies, I've said before, it's cut, loud, loud, loud. This one, it's just, oh, hey, this is happening.
Yeah, and he puts the camera in the right place. There was a shot in the movie that the audience gasps, where it's in one of the car chases, and you've got Christina Hendricks, who I also didn't know was in the movie.
Yeah.
Christina Hendricks sort of in the foreground, and you're looking out the back window of the car, and there's a shot basically where a car crashes, and not even in a spectacular way. Like, the car just sort of crashes in the background, but the whole audience gasps because they didn't expect that shot.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what shot I really liked in the movie, too, is when he comes back and his car's driving, and the camera's, like, doing a profile shot, but then he looks and he sees those two guys that just beat up the dad, and he follows them with the camera, and then the camera comes back as he's turning into the parking spot, and the camera has really interesting movements on it. So it was cool. And actually, I think my favorite, one of my favorite moments in the movie is when he kisses Carey Mulligan in the elevator.
I was going to bring that up.
Because, you know, what's cool is, okay, I'll set up this scene. This guy's sent to get a look at the driver, and by the bad guys. So the elevator opens and he's in the elevator. And Ryan Gosling's character knows right away this guy is no good. And so he gets in the elevator and he looks to his right, and this dude he sees that he's packing heat in his pocket. So all of a sudden he turns to grabs Carey Mulligan and pushes her to the corner of the elevator. He turns to her, and then, like, the lights dim. And he just starts, like, kissing her. And then the lights come back up. And then he beats the shit out of this guy and stomps a hole in his head and walks it dry.
Yeah.
Like, amazing.
Yeah, it's a scene that, like, first of all, the most intense kiss ever on screen. And I don't mean, like, because it's a passionate kiss. No, I mean because they're kissing, and yeah, it's nice and how romantic, but every moment I'm thinking, this guy is going to shoot you dead.
Exactly.
Like, because neither of them, they are both expendable at that point.
Exactly.
Because, you know, people are falling dead left and right, and I'm thinking, you could just kill these people. Like, everyone could just die here. Like, that could be it. And so that's all happening while they're kissing, and then it's an awesome moment, not just because you don't expect it, but also because when it's over, you feel like he did it because he thought, well, with what I'm about to do, I have to kiss her now because then she's never going to want to see me again.
Exactly, and I didn't think of at that time too. After he bashed that dude's skull in, you know, she's standing at the out of the elevator, scared, and that door closes, and that's the last time he sees her. Mm-hmm. And that's because he knew that she would never like him. Not knowing that at the end of the movie she knocks on his door looking for him.
Yeah. Well, this is and we haven't even mentioned the fact that when it gets violent, like, it's not just suddenly violent and realistically violent, it gets really violent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is specifically one character, one scene that is so shocking and almost disturbing that you're like, I can't.
Well, the audience we were with were like, oh!
Yeah.
Because it was quick.
They were also laughing at inappropriate times because they don't understand
when they said,
silence.
like, he calls me a fucking kike. And you're, ah!
Yeah.
Really? That's funny?
No. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is that audience. I said to Sierra after the movie, I said, who came with us, by the way, which was awesome, and she should come to more movies.
Yeah,
also,
Sierra.
listen to the podcast. I said to her after the movie, I said, you know, I think Ryan Gosling just attracts the wrong people. Because our audience was just full of, like, it felt like they when there was silence and then someone broke the silence, they would laugh because they thought the silence was awkward.
Yeah,
the silence
I agree.
was just
I think people were expecting him to be his hunky and had maybe a Fast and Furious vibe to it. But
yeah,
it's a dark
I'm gonna have
movie.
to watch the trailer now because it's if they're selling it like it's Fast 5, they're selling it, well, probably right because they're going to make money. But
well, I saw the trailer a few weeks ago, and I kind of want to see this movie. And I started reading reviews about it and saying how it was a great action movie. IGN gave it 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think Slash Film gave. I don't remember what Slash Film gave it.
So
yeah, I mean,
it intrigues me, you know.
Yeah, it's probably a movie that most people won't like.
Yeah.
So while I said at the beginning, like, you should go see this movie, there's a good possibility that the people who go see it are not going to like it, but I don't care.
And there's a good possibility I said it's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. People would say, dude, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
This movie's stupid. All they do is sit there and they don't say anything.
There was even a guy who...
I guess we should mention the one dude who was sitting behind you that when anybody would say something remotely...
Witty,
I guess?
Not even witty.
What's the right word for that?
Jokey.
Jokey?
When any time that there was something that was kind of like a joke...
This guy took it upon himself to say, I gotta repeat what was just said on screen.
Yeah.
And not just, like, if I was talking to you, say, hey, you just said this. He made it loud, so the whole theater could hear this douchebag.
Have I ever told you about the time that we went to see the second Harold and Kumar movie back in college, and we went opening night, and obviously half the theater was high.
Obviously.
And the guy, in the scene when President Bush shows up in that movie, like... After that first scene, they cut away and there was a moment of silence, and the guy behind Ryan and I goes, President. It was great. It was one of the best jokes in the movie.
So I think I'm going to see the new Harold and Kumar, the first showing, in the morning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nah, I almost want to say, like, no, you should see it in the evening when all of the other high people are there.
No.
Because...
I don't like those people.
They kind of make it better.
I would tend to disagree, sir.
I feel like you should see a movie with an audience that all appreciates it on the same level, and Harold and Kumar requires an audience full of people who are high.
I have never done drugs, and I've watched those movies completely sober, and I still think they're funny. So I don't need people to validate my.
Oh yeah, no. It's not about validating. It's more. I think I've told you this before. Like, I'm a huge fan of Pulp Fiction, but I never laughed at Pulp Fiction as hard as I laughed when I saw it at the Esquire with an audience full of people.
Really?
Yeah. When you're surrounded by people who appreciate it and love it and are having as much fun as you are, it's contagious in a way. And that was also because the audience knew the movie so well that then they would giggle a little before a scene happens, you know? So, like, as soon as Christopher Walken comes on screen, everybody laughed a little. And then when he would actually say funny lines, they wouldn't laugh quite as much as when they first saw it. It was more the anticipation. Anyway, Drive.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say, Bryan Cranston is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when I saw he was in the movie, I thought, oh, he's doing his Breaking Bad thing. No. And he was recently on a podcast where he said, like, he purposely, when he left when Malcolm in the Middle was done, he purposely was looking for something that was not that, because he felt like he's done that and he doesn't want to get typecast. And this character is not anywhere near any of those other characters.
I mean, Malcolm in the Middle, he's so goofy.
Right.
You know, in this movie, he's straight.
And Breaking Bad, he's cold and hard, and this movie, he's sort of like a semi-pathetic kind of guy.
But also a fatherly figure to Driver.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not lovable.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but
like,
yeah. Well, yeah, you feel bad for him because he never... I think, too, he was trying to have Ryan Gosling's character live what he could never do.
Yeah.
You know, the stunts, being in a NASCAR driver. Maybe that's why he wanted him to be a NASCAR driver. Maybe. More subtext to this movie.
Yeah. And it has plenty of room for it.
It does.
Because there's a lot of just empty.
You know what? You know what we didn't mention is when Ryan Gosling finds Cook and he's in a dressing room full of strippers. They don't do anything to help this guy.
No.
They just stand there and watch.
No.
That
scene is great.
Because they must be so used to bad things happening, and then they just stand there and...
Oh, man.
It would have been better if he would have driven that bullet through his head with a hammer.
Oh, I was terrified of that the whole time. I was like...
I know, so was Sierra. She kept on covering her eyes.
Oh, my God.
But then he made him swallow it, which was pretty awesome, too.
Yeah, that was pretty good, too. The movie is, like, at 11 the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it never lets up. No matter what, you know, whether it's doing the romantic scenes or whatever, like, it's always intense and almost hyper-realistic when it does it.
And he had a theme song every time.
Yeah, that's right. He has
the
that
hero
weird,
chick when she's
singing.
singing.
About humanity and being a hero.
Yeah, but...
Turn out you a human and a hero. Yeah, that was the song. Right? It sounded exactly like that.
It did. You should release your...
Yeah. It was great. The movie's great.
It is great.
And unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, just fresh and different.
Yeah, it was really awesome. Yeah. That's all I can say about it. And you should go see it. You should support movies like this.
Hopefully you went and saw it before we spoiled it.
Yeah, so make sure you see it before we spoil the whole movie, though.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
Don't listen to this podcast and say, oh, I just saw what they talked about on a podcast.
That's why we do it differently.
Yeah.
That's why we tell you to go see movies before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it was better than Creature.
Oh fuck! We didn't talk about that. Creature had the second lowest theater average.
Oh yeah,
$65 per screen.
Oh man, that was ridiculous.
Oh dude,
I also almost wrote a whole article about the fact that one of the things I didn't talk about last week was that movie has a complete lack of respect for the South.
Yeah,
because the South could be, and it often is, and it's almost cliche, to make it a really great place for a horror movie, mostly because of sort of the hypocrisy of you've got these religious people who then sort of are doing bad things, but not quite as blatantly as people in Creature. Mm-hmm. But that movie even starts off with being like, all the churches are closed down around here, and then it's just some backwoods hicks that are killing people, and you're like, come on.
And you know, the South does too. The swamp is a character itself, and if you use it effectively, it's creepy with the moss and the trees. And
but that movie has a monster that never actually lives in the swamp
and doesn't move
even
its
though
mouth.
It's a swamp monster.
Fuck. Anyways, like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. Make sure you like us. We only have 12 right now. We need to get more than that, and it's all our friends. How do we get people to do it?
I don't know. I'm gonna start posting it on just random places.
You should like us on Facebook. You can follow us also on Tumblr at realnerds.tumblr.com. You can email us your hate mail for not liking The Shining at realnerds@gmail.com.
It's a poop movie. It's a poop movie,
and it's not even worth wiping your ass with poop on it. Maybe we'll get something this week. Who knows? Make sure you purchase some Birdman Barbecue at your local Ace if you live in the Denver area.
I recently listened to your podcast, and you guys have shit jokes about poop and wiping poop on things. And I think it was offensive that you're not funnier.
So, are we seeing Red State next week? Or what are we seeing next week?
I don't think Red State is wide release next week. We could just talk about Red State, but I feel like I need to see it again before we actually review that movie.
I agree.
Moneyball
comes out next week.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're saying Moneyball.
Dude, but I want to see Abduction.
But we're not seeing Abduction. We're seeing Moneyball.
Oh, fuck.
I get to choose. I also really want to go see Contagion at some point.
Yeah, me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, why didn't we see that last week?
I don't know.
Fucking Creature. I don't know how She Does It came out today.
It did.
I don't know how that movie got made. Yeah, Moneyball comes out next week.
We'll probably be seeing Moneyball because it looks awesome.
And maybe Machine Gun Preacher.
Or Killer Elite.
And Killer Elite. Or Dolphin Tale.
We don't know. Dolphin Tale in 3D?
Dolphin Tale's in 3D.
It is.
Oh, man. Disney, what are you doing?
Is it a Disney movie?
No, it's not. I just want to yell at Disney for creating dolphins. I think they created dolphins. No, it's an Alcon movie. It's a WB movie.
Anyways, we'll see you next.
And then the week after that is 50-50.
Nice.
I'm not letting you choose Dreamhouse.
I'm not going to see Dreamhouse.
What's your number?
Well, maybe what's your number?
50-50 is, in the running for maybe my favorite movie of the year. So
maybe. You haven't seen it yet, but
I know.
You think you're going to love it that much?
I really like Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Me too.
And that movie looks good.
And he looks like he's going to be an action star next year riding a bike around New York.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the trailer. It is both good, but also very...
corny. Like when he brushes through the smoke.
Yeah. Well, or like Cookie Cutter. It's very much like, this is a chase movie, but this time he's on a bike. Fixed wheel, because he's hip.
But we'll see.
Hipsters love fixed wheels.
I'll still probably see it,
Oh, I'll still see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, next week is...
next week is Moneyball.
Cool.
So, yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.